Wow, welcome everyone. It's been such a long time since we recorded one of these. One of the reasons we've been very busy is because we've experienced a lot of growth over the last few months, mostly because of what we were trying to achieve with automation, artificial intelligence, streamlining protocols as much as possible, and we've experienced this really growing demand for removable restorative. So most of what we've been doing is trying to sort of streamline what traditionally used to be a very analog process and put a lot of money, time, and energy behind trying to really create something new that makes the clinicians' lives easier, our lives easier. So this is what we're here to talk about. Basically to go over three different things that we've worked on really hard in the last few months that we were able to automate and streamline and improve for everybody. So, Enrico, one of the first products that we really focused on in the last few months was the traditional overdenture on attachments. And talk to me a little bit about how this process used to be done for many years and what did we focus on to basically figure out what we needed to do to turn this into a much more effective, much more predictable restorative.
Yeah, I mean, the question, yes, absolutely. I mean, let's even start even more granular in the aspect of how we've automated our acceptance workflow, right? Through utilizing AI and the automation in that, right? So yes, I'll go back to the overdenture aspect of it, but it's even been to the point of that we're constantly looking, right? The evolution was that we wanted to get practitioners embracing digital technology. We want them intraoral scanning. And what happened? As we've talked in previous episodes, you've had 3Shape and Sirona, which is also known as cerec. Your core intraoral scanners always be there. They're still there. But evolution has brought many more scanners in it, right? You have itero, Medit, Allied Star, Shining 3D. And what ends up happening now, and the way these work, as you guys are probably aware of, is you have all these inboxes, right? And an inbox is like having 15 different email inboxes that you need to check. And it's been very time consuming, nowhere near the aspect of doing an analog restorative, but time consuming to go out and validate the inbox, make sure the data is correct, accept that information, transfer it into our management software. And our big claim to fame in Synergy 3D is, right, by digitizing our workflows, we get better consistency, better quality, better efficiency. So we were saying, hey, there's a potential here for human error.
And mind you, these inboxes in an ideal world should have been all in a more unified platform.
Absolutely.
To begin with.
Absolutely.
But every company wanted to have their proprietary platform, proprietary way of how you download their scans because they wanted total control. So this is what we were able to change.
Absolutely. So we did what we always do, and we did a lot of R&D and evaluation and seeing if there was a company out there today that could consolidate all that and automate it. And there is a couple out there. We decided to go with a management software called Great Labs. The nice thing about that software is it has a lot of back-end AI, where today it'll automatically go out to the inboxes of select intraoral scanners. It'll bring it into our platform. The AI will actually get educated on how we accept it, the coding we choose, and will automatically generate work tickets for us. And as this evolution grows, and I think they're going to achieve this before the end of the year, hopefully, it'll automatically then take it to the next level of taking single unit restoratives and putting it out to an AI design company and give us a proposal without even a technician.
Within management software,
right?
Which is crazy.
Which is insanity, right? And then we will do our Q&A and validate it. And then the next phase for that, which I think will be mid next year, is that it'll actually take it to the next level and auto-generate the nesting in the software. So why do we bring this up? And we don't want to waste too much time on talking about Crown and Bridge, because this is more about how we've digitized removable to help our partners become more profitable, more efficient, more effective, more consistent. But the importance is not just the intraoral scanner, it's not just the design software, it's not just the technician. It's a collaboration of all these categories and really focusing on the industry in evolution and saying, hey, it's here. So you're either going to embrace it, or you're going to then sit back and say, it's not for me, right? And Milos hit it right on the head. It's been over probably a month or so, if not longer, since we did our last upload. And we've been extremely busy with the demand and the request for new clients wanting to utilize our facility because of the 5-day turnaround time that we offer, because of the consistency and quality we offer. I still think today we're one of the few laboratories that is milling our flexible restorative. So it's literally scan, upper, lower, and bite. and within 5 days, you get a final prosthesis back. And we're going to talk about that. But to go back on what Milos was originally talking about is something as complex as an overdenture, right? And all the steps that it came into producing an overdenture. We know with analog in general, you'll talk to any practitioner and say, do you love dentures?
Yeah. The first thing to say is no. We just did a lecture at our facility with Dentsply, and that's what we did. The first thing that everyone said was no.
We said, raise your hand, right? We said, raise your hand if you love dentures. And I don't think there was one individual in that facility, not to say that there's not pros out there or other practitioners that do like doing dentures, but there is a complexity to it. There is the aspect of a patient falling in love with that denture and then trying to duplicate what they had previously. And it used to be a very analog process. So we've talked in our past lectures of how we scan an existing denture wearer. So you could literally have a patient come in, let's hypothetically say they have an upper denture, lower natural dentition. You do a wash impression, you scan 360 scan that denture, and then you're delivering them a digital final denture on the second visit. And we've definitely perfected that protocol where we have a 99.9% success rate. As long as the data coming in is 100% accurate, you're going to get a great fitting dentures. But we wanted to take it to the next level. And we said, well, what's the next complexity to this, right? And there's the overdenture aspect of it. And Milos and his team did a phenomenal job of creating protocols of same thing. Patient comes in today with existing implants, and literally with the proper scans you can give us, on the second visit, we're going to deliver you an overdenture complete. No pickups chairside, no worrying about, the cap getting lodged in the patient's on the locator abutments, right?
Correctly.
The bites correctly. So in this instance, what happens, right? When you have a patient that's good, you're pre-prepping or pre-planning for surgery for an overdenture, they typically have a natural dentition, right? Or they typically have a denture and they're sick of the denture falling out or not being able to eat steak. So when you do your, after the healing process, right, and you have implants in place, you're then going to give us 2 separate scans. You're going to do our copy denture technique, which if you go into previous videos, we were chairside with one of our customers, and he shows you specifically with itero exactly how to do that wash impression, exactly what we're looking for. If you want to open VDO, I strongly suggest going back to our previous videos and watching that part. Do that protocol. So that's your copy denture protocol. Then what you're going to do is, again, let's say hypothetically work on the upper. You can do upper and lower. We've done multiple cases where this technique has worked phenomenal, whether it was a full upper, full lower, or it was just an upper or just a lower, etc. You're then going to put your scan bodies in place and scan it, right? And with that scan, and then our copy denture scan, we're then going to bring that here. We can even go as far as choosing the locator abutments for you to reassure that they're the proper tissue heights. So there's that conception in our business of a overdentures needing a metal support. In my opinion, again, this is my opinion, is that if the denture is properly supported by tissue and we do not put too high of a locator abutment in place, there's no reason for fracture. It's the same methodology that if I have a piece of glass and it's flat on the floor and I step on it and it's 100% flat, the probability of that glass cracking is minimal to none. But if there's little pebbles on the floor, that's going to be little fracture points where then it's going to flex, then that glass is going to break.
In the past, the issue was that a lot of times the clinician would pre-select, sometimes incorrectly, those abutments.
Absolutely.
That would be too tall, and then we would just have to simply work with that. By giving us an intraoral scan, we can virtually measure exactly how deep the implants are and pick the most ideal height for those locator abutments, which ensures the longevity and making sure the restorations comes through great.
Yeah, and the amazing thing is now there's so much evolution in locator abutments, right? When we first started in the business, they were just basically straight. They came in like a 0.5 millimeter, millimeter and a half. But now they even make anglized locator abutments through Zest. We've even done cases where you took a multi-unit and then there's there's a sleeve that goes over top of it, and you get up to 35 degrees of angulation correction. So there's so many different options to get proper insertion direction, and then also reassure that we get the proper height. So we are getting the proper tissue support. But in taking those 2 scans, literally then, like Milo said, is we're going to sit there now. We're going to actually digitally measure, get the right locator abutment heights, have an accurate enough model where we do it every single day. So we have proof of concept. It's not just a theory. And then on the 5th day, you're going to get back a final restorative for delivery. And Milos is going to upload in the bottom right left hand corner of this some of our previous cases that we're done with this protocol, that you could actually see really nice photos of very happy patients. And it's not that back and forth, right? When you think about the variable of doing this analog, right? The number one thing is the wax bite. How many times are we getting frustrated because the patient's biting? You know, depending on the wax you're using, the jaw is shifting, and you know, you can take the bite 6 times, and 6 times you'll get a different bite because the patient has this bulky wax material in their mouth. It really is, you can't blame the practitioner themselves. It's not something that's natural. Just think about the basis. If you ever had a clear aligner for ortho done, and that thin, a millimeter or less than a millimeter of thickness, how it messes up your S's and the way your speech is. Your tongue is trained for what it has in the mouth today. And when you're putting something as bulky as wax to try to do a bite validation, the best of the best could have an issue with it for sure. And I think that's why dentures have such a bad rap. And I don't want to touch that.
But we worked really hard on try to transfer that data to be as accurate as possible, because in removal you have too many variables. It's easy to capture vestibular areas. You want to make sure, like you said, that those bites are correct. And then you want to make sure that that structure of the scan body scan and the surface scan of the denture meshes correctly, so that there's minimal to no adjustments when the final restorative goes in. And so it takes a lot of time and a lot of trial and error to figure that out. But the final result is something spectacular, to a point where some of the clinicians calling us, they're just ecstatic. They can't believe what their experience is. I used to spend 5 appointments on this and hours of my day. And now I took a scan with my 360 scan protocol, and on my 2nd appointment, I'm getting a final restorative.
Absolutely.
So
it's where you know, we pride ourselves on the slogan, and again, this channel was never created to hype up Synergy and what we do. It's definitely here for information, but at the same time, it's why we use the slogan "Unlock the Potential," because utilizing digital technology appropriately should make you not only a practitioner as more profitable and more efficient, but have a much more satisfied patient, right? And that's the most important thing, right? Access to care. Being able to see more patients in a day means we can help more patients, and we can give them a good quality restorative.
And another thing is, especially in the last 2 years, the abundance of high quality intraoral scanners is a great place to be. So anything from Shining 3D, the new Lumina, the 3Shape 6, the Trio 6, and so many other scanners really gives you the ability to no longer have to struggle to get that high quality scan or a 360 scan.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, they're a lot more forgiving. They give you so much more accuracy. There's really no reason not to do this.
And I think it's not only the accuracy aspect of it, but affordability, right?
Yeah,
Think about back in 2015, 2016, you know, you're spending $35,000, $40,000 on an intraoral scanner. And you're saying, wow, you know, is this, and you're trying to justify costs and saying, well, my cartridge of impression material takes this much. I don't need to be so technique sensitive. I stick in the patient's mouth, boom, I have an impression. I mean, today you could get into intraoral scanning for, I think in some scenarios, under $10,000.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at that and you're saying it's faster, more efficient, you don't need to wait for a driver to come pick up your impressions. It's not technique sensitive. I mean, when you're scanning, I think, in my opinion, with a Trios 3 and above, a Lumina scanner, an Allonx scanner, Shining 3D scanner, you're going to grab that data pretty easily. Even the Prime scan from Dentsupply, it captures the data fairly well.
The implant information, right? There's a lot of skepticism on how do you get an accurate fit on a full edentulous arch with maybe 4 implants.
Absolutely.
Which are some of these overdenture cases that we worked on. And these particular ones were done with the Lumina scanner,
Yes.
the new itero scanner, and they just drop right in, which a lot of people think that you need photogrammetry for that. But all the newer scanners that are coming in, they're actually incorporating some of that photogrammetry technology in terms of accuracy and how to capture the data. So like I said, it's just getting better and easier to jump into intraoral scanning. And if you're not doing it, I mean, leaving time and money on the table.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done full mouth rehabilitations from these overdentures. We have clients that are using 3Shape, a 3, 4, 5 unit, all those categories, and we're doing allonx deliveries off of intraoral scanning. When you're looking at photogrammetry, yes, in my opinion, that's a thing of a past and necessity. The only thing is depending
in between technology.
It's in between technology, exactly. So something that we kind of like skipped right over, and the intraoral scanning kind of superseded and became more efficient where you don't need it. The only times where you might run into a little struggle is when you're scanning a scan body. They're a little farther apart, and they're so identical that the intraoral scanner doesn't recognize that it's on, tooth number, whatever,
3 versus 13.
Right, is 3 versus 13 or whatever the case is. But again, the orientation, you could put a marking on it, give it something to make a scanner know it's slightly different. But again, 99.9%, I don't think we've ever actually got a call saying my scanner's overlaying it improperly.
Which is very strange because we do compare ourselves sometimes with our peers and what other labs is doing, and we look at those trends and what they're experiencing, and many of them are still very analog.
Yep.
Which I would understand the necessity if the data was to justify it, but on our end, the data just doesn't justify it to do these things in an analog fashion. And the same thing would go to, now that we covered the overdenture protocol for flexis.
Yeah. I mean, it's, for me, in my opinion, when it comes to removal, let's say your staff's not very proficient in intraoral scanning, you're saying, well, where do I start? You should never be doing a partial restorative non-digital. I mean, 100% edentulous, no existing denture, even a copy denture. Yes, with the best of scanners, there is a slight technique. You want to take a really good wash impression. You don't want to overload the tray. We're going to change the VDO.
Mm-hmm.
So I could understand that. But when you're talking about a flexible partial, again, something that was very labor intensive for a laboratory.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about waxing and investing and devesting, injecting and burning out. And if you got to heat the cartridge just right. And if you didn't inject it fast enough, it wouldn't flow appropriately. You got to start all over. These are things now where all that variables gone. We're literally taking your upper and lower intraoral scan with bite. We're digitally designing a flexible restorative that's done with a 5-axis milling machine.
And I'll show you in the bottom what some of them look like.
Yeah, and we have some of the most state-of-the-art milling machines in the industry. Again, it's our opinion. We feel they are the best for aesthetics and consistency and quality, and also for longevity of milling. As these machines are a little bit lighter, they get vibration, no good. Ours don't have that problem. As these machines do not have water-cooled spindles, they build friction and get more friction within the spindle, have more vibrations and less aesthetics and dimensional changes. We found a machine that we were, I think, one of the first that really brought mass production of this in, and because it checked all the boxes for what we were looking for. And when we were looking for milling solutions, we weren't just looking at the dental industry as saying, listen, what's the best mill for dental? Because you got to remember, milling and printing has been in the world for many, many years prior to dental. So we took the methodologies of what mass manufacturers were using in every other space but dental and saying, okay, now we need to find a machine that can solidify this, but then has these strategies for milling a dental prosthesis. And we were successful. So we get great products. So the great thing again is all you're going to do is you're going to scan your upper, lower, and bite. You have enough teeth in the mouth to establish a VDO. Now we're going to design it. We're going to mill it. And it's like Legos. So when you look at production for us versus our competitor, what happens, right? A lot of you practitioners will start to look at a laboratory and say, oh my God, they started off really, really good in the past. Yeah. And then after 3 months, after the honeymoon period, it started falling apart. And what happens? In most laboratories that are still analog trying to adapt digital technology is they'll find the best technician in-house. So they'll find Milos and say, Milos is the best. Milos, we just got Dr. Smith. He's a brand new client. You're doing all Dr. Smith's work.
And nobody else is touching it.
No one else touches it. It's got to be you, right? And then the next thing they're going to do is they're going to get Michele. Michele's the next best technician. Okay, you're taking Dr. Jones' work because Milos can't do Dr. Jones because he's doing Dr. Smith. And what happens? Over the 3-month period, the work goes down the assembly line to the junior technician that barely knows how to write his name, let alone, inject a flexi. So with digital technology, the beauty about it is one, AI is advancing more than it's ever advanced in the world. And Milos is going to talk a little bit of that excitement in a second. But secondary to that is we have consistency and quality, because now we can expand our technician base because they're literally playing Legos.
Yeah.
right? It's just bonding it together and teaching them how the scientific aspect of making sure how you prep that prosthesis to get a proper bond versus the aspect of how functionality and VDO work.
But on your end, you're just getting a final restorative on your second appointment.
Yeah.
So
So no more custom trays, bite blocks, setup, process, reset up. I mean, it's a whole thing. And that's the great thing about what we're doing here. And it's a great thing about what we're doing. So, I mean, I would tell you, we've said in the past, I think we're up to almost 98% of our restorative. If it doesn't come in digital, we do digitize it for more consistency and quality. And our goal is to go 100%. I mean, we want to eventually get rid of our model room completely. And we're constantly doubling downing on digital technology.
Yeah. And this all ties into also artificial intelligence and what we've been doing with file management and lab management software, but also ties into the capabilities that AI services have given us over the years. I mean, just a few years ago when 3Shape was launching their Automate, it was very rudimentary, just single unit restorative. Then very quickly, because, the more data you feed to your artificial intelligence model, excuse me, the smarter it becomes. So what happened? They get all this data from thousands of different labs and they just feed it to the algorithm over and over and over, and it gets smarter. And then very quickly, we went from just single unit restorative to doing 3D models, to doing aligner models, to doing now bridges, which was great. So very quickly, and this is what we think most of the AI development focus should be right now, is in removable.
100%.
Because even after we've described what we've described, the only bottlenecks really remaining now is not in the production, it's not in the assembly, it's not in file retrieval, now it's in design. So that's going to be the next thing, is how do we push or inspire or work with the AI companies to put their time and energy behind developing removable services, whether it's for flexis or allonx or dentures or diagnostic full arch reconstruction.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, and if any AI design software companies are listening to this today, and I've told a bunch of young design companies the same thing: stop chasing single unit crowns, stop chasing bridges. Unfortunately, the way you look at it, 3Shape has an unlock, right? And anybody that understands how AI works is the more data you give AI, the smarter the computer becomes, right? The monster gets bigger, right? And when you look at a comparison of let's hypothetically say, and I'm not going to say names of AI companies out there, but hypothetically, let's say I'm Joe Smith's AI company, and I realize the value of AI, and I want to today come out into the market and create an AI software that can create crowns and bridges. Forget about it. 3Shape's locked down, right?
Even ExoCAD, yeah.
Right, and then ExoCAD's right behind. Yeah. I mean, they're the two largest design softwares in the industry. And when you think about the years and years they've been in this industry and how they were able to collaborate and collect all this data, you're running uphill and you're a sheep. You're being a follower to the industry. Let's be a disruptor. Like I'm calling out to every AI company out there that hasn't figured out even crowns and bridges yet. Start focusing, like Milo said, on flexis and full denture design. I'm telling you now, if I needed tomorrow to go out and get a designer to do single unit crown design, it's easy. They're out by the hundreds. The aspect is that they're okay with doing it because they've perfected the design protocol where they could design a single unit crown in less than 5 minutes. So when you think about your per unit cost, it's very, very affordable. If I have to go find a denture design guy or an allonx designer, he's then doing the math and saying, hey, I could produce 20, 30 crowns in an hour, and I make X amount of dollars per crown. I make this much money an hour. If I have to go design a denture, it's a denture, right? It's an allonx. Like, how much can you actually pay that designer? And that's really where the bottleneck is. And that's where we're constantly working with our AI partners to say, hey, develop this for us. And we're working with our out of the facility. We have designers all over the United States and vice versa of how to design dentures and produce that.
What's interesting is the way I look at it is the full denture design algorithm, if you want to call it that, diagnostic design algorithm, and allonx design algorithm should all be very similar.
Right.
Because you're really setting up an edentulous arch with a bunch of teeth.
And then you're just changing how it
connects, right? And how it processes, right? So whether you're going to have two pieces, whether you're going to have a connection to the implant, whether you're going to have a virtual prep and then just have teeth right tack on, to me, it would be a logical thing to just they all share the same logic and just disperse different applications.
Right. So AI companies, if you're listening today, we just helped you. We send our commission check to, and I'll give you the address below. No, I'm joking. The aspect is that, yeah, it makes more sense. I mean, like I said, I mean, we send probably about 90% of our single unit restorative through AI now.
We still obviously review it.
Right.
It's not 100%, but it's 99%.
Right. So, I mean, so think about it. So on an acceptance aspect on the single unit restorative we stay at today, what is after your team reviews every single one, because we do look at every single one, it's not quite there yet. What is the percentage of rejection or adjustments you have to make? Is it 5%, 10%?
It's like 1 or 2%.
Right. That's insanity.
Yeah.
Insanity. And it's only going to get more consistent. It's only going to get better quality. Now, labs, if you're listening, my advice to you is digitize. You know, I've said it a million times. Milos has done it. Digitize, right? It's where our industry's going. And if you're chasing a dream of that, the analog restorative still has a home. I mean, there's a lot of time on my social media, I see these things with like metal structures and castings and waxing,
nimble bridges.
I mean, I can't tell you the last time we pulled out our waxer. I mean, it's insanity. Yeah, I mean, there's an artistic portion that'll get lost along the way, and it's sad. But the realization is that we want a consistent quality product, and it's like I always talk, right? I talk about Amazon, right? How do we think about that, right? When Amazon first came out, I think anybody listening to this can contest to the fact, what was the first thing we all did? We looked at price. If Amazon was cheaper, we'd buy it. I know at least me, I'd sit home and say, it's a little bit more money and I'd rather have it now. This was, 10 years ago. So I'll just go to Best Buy and I'll buy it. Yeah. And now I'm like, I can have it today or I can have it tomorrow. It's not worth going out. I'll wait. It's because, and we don't even look at price, right? And my staff teases us all the time. Like, just get it off Amazon. We'll get a staple. Amazon, one-stop shop, right? And that's what we're going to continuously create, of that one-stop solution for consistent quality dentistry when it comes to a lab manufacturing facility. And that's what we're doing. And we're constantly looking at partnerships and products and AI to make sure we can achieve that, whether it's, digitizing printed dentures, and we're doing it. Digitizing our overdentures, we're doing it. Digitizing our flexis, we're doing it. The fact is that there is not a restorative, I think, in this day and age that you can't do digitally anymore.
No. I mean, probably with an exception of a few ortho appliances out there, but even those there's a lot of focus right now in sleep apnea appliances, different types of appliances that are being digitized as well.
Absolutely.
So it's really more just about the assembly and the design process. Great. So we just stay tuned as all these new technologies are being incorporated into our facility. And now we're going to do, because we did a lot of development, now we're actually going to be doing a lot of education and collaboration with the dentists across the country to record some of these processes, so you can actually have a how to do an overdenture, how to do a flexi. And then once we can share it, then you can use it as an instructional video for yourself and others. And it will be a great way to just stay tuned with the channel and see what comes next.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay tuned. We're constantly reaching out to our practice partners that have different types of scanning, has different types scanner brands. So we can do these how-to, not just necessarily on itero, but many, many different scanners. Yeah. And we will absolutely be chairside in the next few months and show you the protocol of how exactly to capture the data for the overdentures. It like I said, it's more effective, more efficient, more accurate. And like I said, let's digitize.
All right, guys, until next time.
Thank you.